So I'm trying something I've never done before. I normally would have written this as a blog post, but I thought, why not record it with all my expressions and everything and put it for the world to see? So this is like a blog post, but in video form, like a video essay. Um, Basically, there's this friend of mine from childhood, and he's been with me. Let's just call him S for short. I mean, there's a public video, so I don't want to use the full name. Um, if you've known me, you've heard this name. Whenever I say my friend in the US, is the guy I'm talking about. I've known him for 26 years now. Wow. Okay, I've known him for 26 years. I got to know him in 11th standard when I moved into UC, and it's been a wild ride. I think this is commemorating his birthday and saying to the whole world, hey, and he's amazing. And yeah, it's an interview to him. So I wrote a poem about him, I think about a couple of months back, and it's a song. So I'm going to cut bits of the song into this video. So the first verse is just intro, and I think it ends with the concept of being a mirror. I think years ago, like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years into knowing each other, when we were in college, I think he said to me, it's so nice being a friend because looking at you, I can see myself, right? Like you are a mirror. We were at least so similar in the ways we think, the ways we process, the ways we function, that even the things that we did wrong, the things that we do right, we're so similar. So the parts about us, usually we have dark spots, blind spots about ourselves that we're not aware of. The parts about us that we are not aware of, I think we are able to figure out because we have people who act like mirrors. So F was one. I, I I can't think of anybody else that has come to being this much of a mirror as he has.
In the chronicles of my life, many walked in out. Love is many splendored. I've got colors of every hue. You fly a little aloof here, although you're very well known. You're the mirror Jesus made for me to show me more of him.
Now we come to the first chorus. So the song talks about his guitar playing Falling Up. Falling Up is one of my all-time favorite Petra songs. It's amazing. If you haven't heard it and you like slow guitar, electric guitar-driven slow songs um, from 80s Christian rock bands, you should probably go listen to it. So he knew this was a favorite song of mine. So I remember once when I was over at his house, he had this Fender. I'm not sure which electric guitar, or maybe it was just a normal electric guitar, not a Fender. But he had an electric guitar. He hooked it up to an amp, and he was just playing. And he's like, "Recognize this," and I'm like, "I can't make out what that is. It's just one guitar." And then he said, "It's falling up." Like he started singing, and I was like, "I don't remember, but today, this must have been 24 years ago, 25 years ago. Today, I don't remember how it sounded. All I can remember is sitting there and thinking, my God, here is somebody who knew that this is my favorite song and decided to learn the chords and then call me over when I'm next time at his house or whatever, hook up the guitar and then play it for me." I mean, yeah, That's amazing. The rest of the chorus has other tidbits of, we not during school, but definitely during college, during study leave. I used to come back to Madras during study leaves, and we used to gather. I mean, we were doing the same engineering course, mechanical engineering, Anna University. So we'll do study, and he is hands down far more brilliant than I am, and far more studious and far more hardworking than I am. So yeah, so we used to gather for study, and then very little study actually used to happen. We would have the textbooks open, we would read a little bit here and there, but more often than not, we would diverge into other topics. And today, what they call neurodivergence, back then we just used to call it chatting. And we I still remember once it was the first time in my life when I actually had a friend where we had jumped so many topics, we had no clue what we were talking about, what we started talking about, and we actually backtracked. And I think we had jumped 18 topics in the space of 3 to 5 minutes. So yeah, I knew that was the benchmark. Anybody coming after that had to hit that benchmark to be like, I mean, that was a benchmark you were benched against or something, whatever.
How can I ever forget your guitar playing for me up? Late night studies on rooftop terraces. 5 minute chats turn to 20 topic exposes. Is there a better godsend than the man that you have been?
So the second verse of the song, it talks about this part where where the Bible says, "As iron sharpens iron." This guy S is so good at sharpening. It's not easy because with me in a discussion or an argument, I am ruthless. I can be ruthless, and this guy will not back down. Right? I still remember I wrote a very dark piece about an incident in my life a couple of years ago, and that just shook him up. He wanted to make sure that I'm in the right place now. So he called, across continents, 4.5 hours through the night. He was on the call with me, and he was saying, "No, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is what the Bible says, and this is how I do it, and this is how you need to do it. And I just want to make sure you are doing things the right way, and you are in the right place, and that you are safe the next time you encounter such circumstances." I think that's just amazing. You know, I live in a world where, including myself, we tell people what to do without any actual care or concern for them. We wrap it up as concern or care for them. But this is someone, S is someone who's actually caring and concerned, and he will go the extra miles, whatever, to make sure that uh, I am okay. And yeah, that's amazing. And yeah, Mirth. Uh, actually, I know we have our laughs constantly, knowing each other for the number of years that we do. But quite recently, I was telling him about a situation at work. And if you don't know, me and my situations at work are not viewed upon very nicely because many people think that I don't exercise sufficient grace, with my colleagues. And this is one similar situation. And I was just saying, this is how I reacted, this is what I said. And he was in the car driving with one of his children. And he turns to his, I mean, I think I was on speaker. He, he's laughing at something I said or the way I said it. He's laughing. He turns to his son and says, "This is why we love Uncle Dan." Because something about how ridiculously funny I can be. And I am like, it feels so validating in a world which looks at me as ungracious in how my interactions with colleagues often end up being, including this situation. He found the humor in it and he actually said I should have been harsher. But yeah, I guess cultural sensibilities are a little different. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this guy is a godsend.
As you call me and dissect this life through Bible eyes, I've often wondered if I should pay heed to you some more. Love dances in your eyes as you laugh with my antics. Proud of who I am today. Chiding me again tomorrow.
The French pronunciations. We when we started class 11, I'd had a French teacher the previous 3 years who used to. I'd had two French teachers actually. Both of them were not really Frenchy, right? So they would their French pronunciations were like English or Tamil pronunciations. S had gone to Alliance Française over the summer in preparation for 11 and 12, class 11 and 12 French. And we had a French teacher. And I remember one of the first times I'm meeting S, during a break. You have 2 periods of class and then a break, standard school timings back in the day. Um, and people were talking, friends, classmates were talking about the French teacher's pronunciations. And he said the way she says chew, the French word tu, chew, sounds like the word for masticating food. See, I'm well read. I know the word masticating. I just have never heard it used by somebody around me. I mean, that was, I think, either the first or the second interaction with S in my life. And I knew this guy is different, right? And then, if you think that's like at one extreme of vocabulary, he has had English words. When we are mad at somebody, we might say idiot, stupid. He will say langoti. If you've ever heard me, if you're in my life, if you've ever heard me use the word langoti as a slur for someone, not a slur, as a bad word to call someone, it stems from this guy's influence. And langoti is nothing. It's like, yeah, it's a Hindi word for underwear. What in Tamil, I think they call comb and yeah, yeah, but yeah, that's the word he used to call people. Then close friends, like the inner circle, one or two, are called Balu. I never caught this. Okay. You're like, Dave, Balu, what are you doing? I'm like, I never got this, but I did pick it up sadly. Fortunately, unfortunately, I don't know if it's sad or not, but I did pick it up. I did call certain close friends at a point of time Balu. I think one Balu escapes now or then. Yeah. And yeah, he has his own vocabulary, and it's actually very interesting.
May we always remember your French pronunciations, all your friendly conversations, a variety of people. Your English and to me.
Yeah, I think the last verse is talking about the rotating table. So I have never seen this in a home. In his home in Kilpop, they had a dining room. The dining space, hall, living space, and dining space combined. And I mean, the entire one of the walls was almost entirely a glass window that you could just see in as anybody walking into the apartment. And the dining table was right next to that. And the dining table, believe me, it had a rotating center. You know, the kind I've seen in films, the kind I've seen in maybe one or two restaurants, but mostly in films. So I remember sitting down. I think we were just catching up over studies or something. I sat down and I said, "Your table rotates. Why? Like, what for?" And he said, "Oh, so you can pass the salt." See, I I consider myself a hardcore Indian, although I mean, many people think I'm too westernized to be called Indian. But we don't. I have never sat in a family dinner and said, "Could you please pass the salt?" You know, I've been like, "Oh, there's a." Actually, come to think of it, I don't think we ever had salt at the dining table in our house. You just ate whatever salted thing was put in front of you. But yeah, even otherwise, you don't say, "Please, could you please pass the chicken?" You just stand up and take the chicken like the uncouth, uncultured Indian that I am. I think that this guy had a rotating table. And yeah, it just goes to show how unique this guy is, right? And Flame of the Forest Trees, I'll never forget. This is one of the first times. So S used to come to school by cycle. I used to come to school by cycle, and S had this childhood bestie, like who grew up with him from first standard or something. So he used to come by cycle, and we all can actually go home the same way. And S would be the first point to drop off. So I remember very clearly the first time we were cycling together, three of us, and coming back. And he's showing me his house and he says, "My house is right up there, that apartment. And this road has a series of apartments." So I said, "Oh, which one?" And he says, "The one with the flame of the forest trees." See, again, I come from a background where we just say trees. We don't even know names, or at least I don't know names of trees. I definitely do not know flame of the forest trees. And again, in my life, I've never heard of anybody call a tree flame of the forest trees. Actually, having said that, I think I have somebody in my life who does know what flame of the forest trees is, and I think they used it recently. But apart from that, you know, in the last 41 years of my life, I've never heard somebody say, "Oh, right by those flame of the forest trees." So that's the kind of unique person that S is, both was and is. And that's why also, even amongst diamonds, I have many people in my, mm, several people in my life who are unique, right? Who are diamonds in their own right. And this guy, S, is a diamond in his own right. Like, amongst diamonds, he is unique. And he has, I think this video is extra long. I wanted the whole thing to be within 5 minutes. He has traveled oceans, literally, for me. He, I think, continues and will continue to travel oceans for me. Um, I think it must be mentioned when he knew that I was in a relationship with a girl who would then later become my wife, and then they currently separated, all of that, ongoing divorce, all of that. Um, he traveled by train back in 2007 just to meet her and spend some time with her, Brooklyn Nova. And then when he heard we were separating, he actually got my permission and he called her and spent hours on the phone with her, trying to understand her side of the situation. And I don't know, I don't have anybody else in my life like that who does those things. I'm sure there are people who would be willing to do those things, but I don't have anybody else who does these things unprompted. So yeah, S, um, this is your happy birthday, Merry Christmas, etc. for 26 years, all combined. Thank you for being such an amazing person, especially to me. And yeah, that thank you is very selfish. I'm so filled with gratitude for the person that you are to me. Thank you.
As we wade through the rest of life, please keep knocking on my door. Wake me up if I'm sleeping. Pinch me hard if I'm dreaming. That rotating table, flame of the forest trees. Aren't you so unique? Even amongst diamonds, please keep traveling oceans, 'cause I'll never find another man to love me like you do.